Carla sharing her. Oh, there it is. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Pathway Zoom seminars, where we welcome keepers and seekers from many of the world's 7 major religions. We look at different issues from the perspective of the teachings of the Ascended Masters as delivered by Elizabeth and Mark Prophet. And we've done webinars over the last 5 or 6 years on things as different as health, relationships, your psychology, strategies for victory, prosperity. Everybody loves prosperity. And this year, our theme is increasing your light in the world. And we are very happy to have with us today Reverend Carla Healy. She found the teachings of the Ascended Masters in Canada in 1980. And her current position is Director of Spiritual Communities for the Church Universal and Triumphant, or the Summit Lighthouse. And she's taught seminars around the world on topics from the Ascended Masters, such as the path of the higher self. She's talked about archangels, chakras, the ascension, all kinds of good stuff. And she especially loves and works with the violet transmuting flame. She's married with 2 children and 4 grandchildren. And tonight she's going to talk to us about how to go up in consciousness when the world is trying to drag you down. So Serapis Bey is the master of the Ascension Temple, and that's where we'll ultimately go up in the world, right? Or out of this world, actually. And he brings us the opportunity to pass our tests and our initiations in 14-month cycles. We're going to learn this evening how to map those cycles so that we can stay tethered to our higher self and not be pulled down by what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious. So learn how to apply Serapis Bey's teachings in your everyday life, better understand what the world is going through, and accelerate the balancing of your own personal karma. You know, the most important thing we can do for the planet is to become one with our Holy Christ self. So Carla, welcome. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Patricia, and welcome everyone. It's good to see you. Many friends, most of you I know. It's great. So I'm not sure if we have anybody that's new to this topic. I'm going to kind of go through and set a platform before we get into mapping the cycles. And so I think that we all know that we are in a world that is going one direction, and we're on the spiritual path moving into a different direction. And there's certain pulls upon us, there's behaviors, there's actions that 20, 30, 50, 100 years ago would be totally unthinkable. And we see so many things going on in the world: drugs, wars, economic hardships, lawlessness, disintegration of the family, and natural disasters, just a long list. And how can we, and we look at these things and we think, why is this happening? And how can I keep moving up in consciousness and going up the mountain, so to speak, and not be pulled down by this energy? This energy can be a pull. So what I want to bring to you today is a tool that will help us to understand why people are acting the way they're acting, what's going on, why it's going on, why we have certain feelings, why we have certain energies and tests and initiations, and to help us to be more objective, to be more almost impersonal, to be more of an observer. And so this is based on cycles. And you read in the Bible that to everything is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. That's Ecclesiastic. Goes on to say a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to break up. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. So have you noticed any cycles in your lives? What cycles do you notice in your life? You want to put it in the chat? And what do these cycles do? These times in your lives? Anybody have any that you'd like to put in there? I mean, you have a birthday cycle, of course. What do cycles do for you? And is there a grand cycle that affects the lives of everyone on the planet? Well, yes, indeed. And that is Serapis Bey's 14-month cycle. So these cycles impact everyone, okay? Not just us, everyone on this planet. So just as the rain falls upon the just and the unjust, no one is immune to this cycle. I see Patricia saying, every time I move, it's a different cycle and a different master's help me. That's right. There's probably something else going on with your moves too. Initiating those moves, right? We can look to our astrology for cycles in astrology. We can look to our cosmic clock. Well, Serapis Bey brings us this 14-month cycle. And as you know, Serapis Bey is the head of the Ascension Temple over Luxor, Egypt, and the Lord of the fourth ray, or the white ray, which is an office in the hierarchy of the Great White Brotherhood. And the Great White Brother are the saints and sages who have mastered life in the earth plane and ascended back to God. The white refers to the white light in their aura, and they hail from every race and culture. The white is also the light of the ascension. So Elizabeth Clare Prophet tells us that the 14-month cycles are pivotal for us on the path of the ascension. And I think you all know who Mrs. Prophet is. She's our teacher, many of us here, and she's a wonderful friend of our soul, a mother to us, a spiritual mother, guru, and author who's touched hundreds of thousands of people and moved on in the light into the realms of light in 2009. She continues to work with us from the other side. So she explains that these cycles come to us by the great dispensation of the central sun through the heart of Serapis Bey. So they're coming to us from the central sun. We call them Serapis Bey's 14-month cycles, but you're going to learn, I think they're kind of Alpha and Omega's 14-month cycles, because they come from Alpha and Omega. So they come from who? Our Father, Mother, God, who love us so, so very much. They've been gone. Mother says that these have been going on the planet Earth for as long as we know. She said millions of years. So we didn't know about them, but they were still going on, okay? But they were announced on winter solstice 1978 as a path of initiation and a great opportunity to balance karma and fulfill our dharma by increasing the size of our causal body. So the causal body, you see, is depicted in the upper figure of the chart of the divine presence, which you see on the right. There's seven spheres, and that causal body. There's actually also 5 secret ray spheres. So there's 12 spheres surrounding the white fire core. And I'll go more into the secret rays a little later. So Elizabeth Clare Prophet told us in December 28, 1990, that these cycles of initiation in the 14th month cycles begin in the white sphere, okay? In the white sphere that you can see there. And just as we began when we were created with Brahman and the Word in the beginning, in the white fire core of being in the great central sun. Our twin flames were created and we processioned through the bands of the causal body, increasing the light of our own individual causal body and the light of our chakras and putting on cosmic purpose. We determined at that time, according to the will of God, what would be our service to life, what we would picture, and what would be the rays of our specialization. You remember when you were doing that a long time ago? How you felt? Right in the bosom of God. Everything was possible then, right? So what is this? What are these cycles? This is what Mother says. So this is the Ascended Master's version of going back to the womb, going back to the very point of origin. We are now retracing our footsteps according to the 14th month cycle. So every 14 months since 1978 has marked the start of another 14-month cycle that we know of, that we started on this particular cycle. And we're going through the successive spheres of the causal body from the center, from the white fire core, from the center Each one of these cycles is an opportunity to increase one sphere of the causal body, one sphere of your causal body. So if you look here, you can see the causal body, you can see the center, your I am presence, you see your Holy Christ self, and you see where you are here in this lower figure. And we're all going back to the point of origin, back to our Father, Mother, God. So you can see in this next slide that the causal body and the spheres of the causal body correspond to the 7 chakras. So what's happening is during each of the 14-month cycles, you have also the opportunity to balance the karma you have made on the ray and the chakra that corresponds to that particular sphere of the causal body of that 14-month cycle. So you're balancing the karma on that ray. So we know what happens when we balance karma. We take the energy that's imprisoned in an imperfect matrix, the karma we made, the misuse of energy, we take that energy and we transmute it, we balance it. There's 3 ways to balance karma. You can balance karma through service, through suffering, or through the violet flame. And you know which way I like to balance my karma. And I think we all do. Not that we don't love service. I think we all love service too. Pain and suffering, you know, okay. I think we did that, many embodiments as saints over the ages. And this is our opportunity to accelerate the balancing of karma and help a lot of people, because we don't have to bear it in our physical body, at least not all the time. So we're here to balance that karma. Now, I mentioned there were 7 rays plus 5 secret rays. So we also have the 5 secret rays. And we'll be talking more about that. So what Serapis Bey said, January 27th, 1980, that the testings that we would undergo during the 14-month cycles are the opportunity for us and our beloved twin flame to transmute an extraordinary momentum of personal and planetary karma. Remember, we came with our twin flame. We need to finish our mission with our twin flame, even if no, we're not with them. Wherever they are, we're working together. So the 7 rays of the causal body are focused through these 7 chakras. And you see the white light of the Divine Mother located in the base chakra. That is the light of the ascension flame. What's really interesting is that's the lowest point to which the light goes, the base of the spine chakra. And then you can see this amazing diagram here of where we're actually connected to the very heart of God in the great central sun. That's where we're going. But that there's things dragging us down. This is why I was talking about the dragging down. We don't want to be dragged down. We want to it's like plugging in. You've got a lot of lights here, and you want to plug in all these colored lights of your chakras and the secret ray chakras. And each 14 months, you get to really shine that particular chakra. That particular light is going to shine, and you're going to polish it up, and it's going to shine, and it's going to blaze forth the light. And the other thing about the ascension flame you're going to learn is that this is the light by which we multiply this action for the multiplication of our causal body, of that sphere of the causal body. Now, so what's happening is we're going to swing. Now think about how many of us have been on a swing? How many of you like to swing, right? When you were a child? I mean, I even get on a swing once in a while when I'm with my grandkids, and it feels really good because you just feel, especially when you're going up, you go, how high can I go? How high can I go in this swing, right? Can I swing into my causal body? Can I swing all the way up into my causal body? That's the idea of these 14-month cycles, is to get us. And there's a tremendous impetus, so that by the power of the sun and even the great central sun magnet, just think about that there's this magnet that's drawing you, and that we can swing into the causal body out of the sockets of death and hell. Now, what are the sockets of death and hell? Well, when you think about it, we are moving around in the electronic belt patterns of the mass consciousness of the planet. Okay. So there is a lot of mass consciousness out there. And the point of the 14-month cycles is to get up out of the low levels of what, as Patricia said, what Jung called the collective unconsciousness, conscious. Mother calls it the mass consciousness. So our goal is to walk the earth and embody the consciousness of our Holy Christ self and I am presence. And this counteracts the pull that of all those who are tied to the collective downward spiral. So just think about it. How many people are tied to their I am presence? How many people are tied to the collective consciousness? How many people are watching the media and watching television and watching all that, and that's all they see and do and know for reality? So we need to have this impetus, and this is what this cycle is. Mother said it's a tremendous impetus. And the interesting thing is that because we have 4 lower bodies, we are still tied to the earth. So there's this pull from, because everybody else has these 4 lower bodies. It ties us to the lowest common denominator of the race. And that's why we purify our 4 lower bodies, purify our chakras. And that's why we need to be aware of what is the energy that is working, so that we can realize, okay, gosh, I'm feeling a little angry this month. Why am I feeling all this anger? Why am I feeling this? Whatever it is, we need to be able to diagnose it. And this is what the 14-month cycles do. So the 14-month cycles, Mother says, is the key we have been logically given under the hierarchy of Luxor, because it is essential to the path of the soul's reunion with God in the ascension. And because it is the white fire of the mother as the ascension flame that makes it possible. Remember that white fire of the light of the mother in the base of the spine chakra. So you might be wondering just how much of an increase of my causal body is possible with this dispensation. What do you think? How much do you think? I think 5%, 10%, 20%. Just think about how large the causal body of Gautama Buddha is. It fills the whole planet. Would you like to have your causal body fill the whole planet? Imagine if all our causal bodies grew by 50%. What a wonderful thing that would be, to displace that mass consciousness, right? It won't have anywhere to go. It's going to get displaced. So this is what Serapis Bey told us in 1985. He said, in the 14 months, you can multiply this sphere, whatever the sphere is you're in, geometrically. So geometrically, like 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, you determine it. And that's what I'm going to tell you how to do this. And she said, this is the meaning of this dispensation from the heart of Alpha and Omega. So this is the dispensation, the gift to you daughters and sons and daughters of God, from your father, from your mother. This is this dispensation that they've given to us. So in addition, Serapis Bey told us on August 28, 1983, I give you a glimpse of how the path is accelerated and shortened. For each of these 14 months might have been unto each of you a 7-year term of bearing your karma. So each month could be 7 years of bearing karma. You could balance 7 years worth of karma, it sounds like. 1 month could equal 7 years, Mother says. This is her comment on what Serapis Bey said. If we could make use of that 1 month, therefore we could balance 7 years of karma in it, or a 1 month or a 1 year cycle for each month. Okay, that's Mother's words. Quote, and this is Serapis Bey, thus my dispensation from Almighty God has been and will continue to be the means of the shortening of the days for the elect. Do you need your days shortened? Patricia is nodding her head. Yes, we all do. We all do. We need our days shortened because things are way they are here. We need to move quickly these days. Mother said this translates to you and me as the possibility of making our ascension in this life. So how do we do this? This is the big question, right? How are you going to do this? Okay. So the first way is we make the call. A simple call. A simple call. Sonam Kumar gave it to us in 1988. He said to do it this way. He said, quote, invoke the great central sun magnet and know how serious and how complete are the 14-month dispensations of Serapis Bay. Each and every 14-month cycle, you are calling to the great central sun for the amplification of one of the spheres of the causal body by the power of the ascension's flame. Okay, so what does this tell us? It tells us that this is more than a cycle. As I've been mentioning, it's a dispensation, it's a gift, it's a dispensation to increase light. And the ascension flame is a multiplication factor for increasing light. So back to the ascension flame. Where is the ascension flame? It's in the white light. It's in the base of the spine chakra. So we need to release that white light of the base of the spine. How do we do that? We do that through our rosaries. We do it through the violet flame for the cleansing of the chakra so the light can rise. We do it through the Bija mantras. So this is really important to remember that you're working with that white light. You're purifying the white light at the base of the spine. And you're raising it up in the gentle way that we've been taught to raise the light up. So the sphere of the causal body that we're in is the third secret ray band. In this 14-month cycle, we're in the third secret ray band of the causal body. And so we would make the call that you see on the screen. Okay, so we can give this together. Let's do it all together now. In the name of my mighty I Am presence and Holy Christ self, in the name of Serapis Bay, I call to the great central sun magnet for the amplification of the third secret ray of my causal body by the power of ascension's flame. That's an easy call to give every day. Okay, so you can give that call every day. I think that's a good call to give every day. So the next thing that we do, so we've got the call, we talked about the giving the rosary, amplifying and working and purifying and becoming the divine mother, being the mother, raising the light of the mother, is that we need to lock into the energies of the cycle, So if the cycle's going on, it's like the bus. If you heard the sermon today, there's a bus. And the bus is leaving the station. And the bus, in this case, is the cycle. And you can get on that bus, or you can watch the bus drive by and say, oh, I'll catch the next bus. But you want to get on this bus because there's cycles and you don't want to miss that cycle. And so it's kind of like when we plant our garden. We plant the garden in the spring and we harvest in the fall. We water it, and we can't say, oh, by the way, I'm not gonna harvest, because if you don't harvest it, the snow comes and it covers it, just like it's covered my garden. And I went out there just in time and picked those things that were still out there, as I planted rather late, so I had to leave them grow as long as possible. But I knew the cycle. Now, the one thing I did miss the cycle was to pull all the stuff out. I said, I'm going to do it next weekend. And then the snow came and now it's buried in the snow. So you want to hit those cycles so that you can harvest the fruits. You want to harvest the fruits and vegetables of these wonderful, wonderful dispensation. So let's talk about how we do that. So we do it through the cosmic clock. And so you can see the cosmic clock diagrammed here. And I think most of you, I don't know if we have any pity here that is not familiar with the cosmic clock. But I'm going to go through it just briefly because it's an important part, because the cosmic clock helps us to understand cycles and the cycles that we're in, because everything is divided into 12. And Mother Mary came and told us that there's more to time than just watching your watch or the clock. There are energies that come forth from the great central sun, and there's cycles, and that we have cycles that we go through depending on when we're born and the different years that we're on. And that this energy is released according to a certain frequency, a frequency of God. There's 12 beautiful frequencies of God, and you can see the 12 frequencies of God there in the left hand uh, figure: God power, God love, God mastery, God control, God obedience, God wisdom, God harmony, God gratitude, God justice, God reality, God vision, God victory, and God power. And these are released through solar hierarchies. It's like God in the great central sun is sending forth light, and it's coming through all of these hierarchies, and it's being stepped down, and it's getting stepped down until it's now reaching the planet, and now it's coming in and it's reaching to us. And so it's a beautiful light. It's a beautiful, pure, beautiful light of God power or God love. And that's what we live on. We people think they live on food and drink and things, but we live on light. That's what we live on. And that light is what nourishes us and it keeps us healthy and strong ultimately, because it fills our cells and atoms at a very core level. So what happens though is people don't always use the light in the right way. So this is a wonderful tool to understand if, okay, for instance, if I'm not using God's light as it comes down in the vibration and frequency of love, and I misuse that light, what does that look like? And you can see on the right figure, it says hatred, mild dislike, and all witchcraft. Okay. And so I'm not going to go through and say all those things. I think you can see them and you can look them up later. I'll give you some references. So that's misuse of energy. The reason I'm going through this is because Serapis Bey cycles rely on the cosmic clock and an understanding. So then what happens is we also know which of the hierarchs focus that light, and even which astrological sign. So you know what sign you are. And so you come in with that momentum of that sign. And let's say you are an Aquarius. So you have great mastery on the flame of love. And the hierarch for Aquarius is Saint Germain. And so you can see all these wonderful masters here. And these are our friends. These are our friends in heaven. And they come to help us with the mastery of the energies on these 12 hierarchies. They are masters of it. And you have a decree called 6.04, which you can give each day, which is really great for clearing your cosmic clock. And you can also understand and combine the cosmic clock with astrology. So then what we find is that we also have secret rays. Now, those are the 12 hierarchies. So now we're going to go into the secret rays, the 12 energies of God on the 12 lines of the clock. So I said that we were in the third secret ray band or sphere. And I remember when that started, and I remember thinking, what's going to happen when that cycle started? And Serapis Bey told us that what we could expect. And he said in 1987, whether it be of nuclear energy, whether it be of the economies, those things that come full circle in these eras have in past times not been met by victory by the majority. It will be a time of greatest testing to the nation, to its government, and to its people. It is a time to be prepared and to endure and to know a new age, a new world, a new consciousness. So this year we went into the third secret ray sphere or cycle, and that happened on March 4th. So does anybody remember what was happening at that time? Anybody remember what was going on? Well, I'll tell you. So remember, it says nuclear energy, economy. So February 24th, Russia, in what they called a special military operation aiming at demilitarization and denazivization of Ukraine, invaded Ukraine. Okay, that was the 24th. So that was right before the cycle. So a war started. They didn't call it a war, but it is a war. So a war started. Guess what happened on March 4th? This is quite amazing. Now, remember, we're in the secret rays. It has to do with nuclear energy. It has to do with the core of the atom. Okay. The secret rays are the inner rays. I'll explain a little more. They're the inner rays. On March 4th, which was the day this cycle started, the Russian forces took control of Europe's biggest nuclear plant at Zaporozhye, raising fears of a Chernobyl-style disaster right on that day. So this is how, when you really tune in and when you really watch, you can see, okay, it almost sets the stage for that next 14 months. Right on that date, we're dealing with, they're saying the Russians are shelling it. The Ukrainians are saying the Russians are damaging it. The Russians are saying the Ukrainians are damaging. It's a big deal. And Chernobyl, remember, was in Ukraine. And that was a nuclear disaster. So now we're dealing with nuclear energy, the core of energy. So this is the sort of thing you can see. So it sort of sets the tone for this whole 14 months. Now we're in this war. You talk about limited nuclear exchanges. We're in a very dangerous time. And this was a time, the last time we were in the secret rate cycle was when we were in the shelter cycle. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. For those of you who may not know what that means that the shelter cycle is a term that those of us who have been in this organization for a long time call a time when we were called to be prepared, and where Saint Germain called us to be prepared, and we built fallout shelters. And that was a big, big initiative and push for the staff at the inner retreat. And of course, now having a shelter is like probably a good idea, but at those times, people were really wondering what we were doing, as some of you may remember. So Mother explains how these cycles on the secret rays affect us. She says they have to do with the intricacy of detail, of fact, of figuring, of planning. It's like figuring out a very complex formula in order to get to the next level of being. During these cycles, we experience the greatest upheaval, the greatest breaking down and building up again. It's tearing down what has not been properly built in the 7 outer rays. Okay, so we go through the 7 outer rays, the 5 secret rays. They're kind of secret, they're inner secret. So let's talk a little bit more about these secret rays. The secret rays on the cosmic clock start at the 6:30 line. So there's this transition period. And when you think about it, the outer rays, the outer 7 rays are for building in the outer, for mastery of the 7 rays, for mastering life. The 5 secret rays are inner, for our inner mastery, for our inner connection with God. And what Mother said is that they're for the breaking down of what has not been properly built in the 7 outer rays. So for the purposes of diagramming them on the chart of the causal body, when you think about your causal body, they are in a different dimension. That's why we don't see them as rays. Okay, there are 5 secret rays. We kind of have an idea of the colors of them, but they haven't really been told what they are. Peach might be one of them. The different colors that have been used for the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. So they're between the yellow band that's next to the center and the white fire core, or the white sphere. So the 5 secret rays are part of that central sun, the white sphere. They're the inner bands that are at different angles to the outer. So they're at different angles. Think about that. Different angles. So the 5 secret rays then follow us and give us our inner integration with God. So this is a time for inner integration with God, the mighty I Am Presence with Alpha and Omega and the great central sun. The 5 secret rays and their initiations should be thought of as rites of passage. Rites of passage. They allow us to pass through the membranes of light that are in the great central sun that is impossible to pass through unless we have a certain attainment. Just like it's impossible to get to certain octaves of the etheric plane as you go up from 1 to 33, the highest one, unless you have attainment. So you have to have a certain amount of attainment. It's like you can't take heaven by force. This is the core of the atom. When you talk about nuclear energy, they split the atom to get that energy. And you know that they can't control that energy. They still did it. Mother said, and the master said, it's not really safe because it isn't under control. So we have to split the atom of our being. We need to go in there. And that's where, right in the secret chamber of the heart, you go in there. You are there. You are there. You go there. I'm sure we go there in our meditations. So we have to pass the initiation to the Buddha on these lines. And we know that the nexus of these lines is Padmasambhava on the 630 line. So Padmasambhava. So we have to have this transition. Padmasambhava is the one who helps us. That's why it's so wonderful to give his golden mantra. And we know that through his heart and through his initiation, the doors are open to the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. And the other one that opens the door is Kuan Yin. Through her heart, we can reach the Buddhas. So let's see how this all fits together. So the secret rays are accessed through the secret chamber of the heart. And within the secret chamber of the heart, we have the white fire core of being. And this is one of the mantras that you can give for this cycle. So this is another thing that you can do to take you into the heart. We could be saying this mantra: I am Alpha and Omega in the white fire core of being. I am Alpha and Omega in the white fire core. This is a mantra that we can give for this entire cycle. I am Alpha and Omega in the white fire core of being. You can also give the decree 0.03 to mighty cosmos secret rays. Okay, so let's go back now and start talking about the diagramming and the calls that we can make and what we're going to do here. So this is another diagram that I created showing the 7 rays. And, you know, we often don't see this because we're used to the cosmic clock with the great divine director on the 12 o'clock line, I'm sure. And you're like, where'd the great divine director go? I mean, how come Amoria is standing there? Well, Amoria is there because he is the Lord of the first ray. And the first ray is on the 12 o'clock line of Capricorn. So this is how this works. When we're going through this clock, and we're going through these cycles, we start on the 12 o'clock line, we start working on the crown chakra. Okay, for the first month of a 14, see there's 14 of these, and then they repeat again 14 times, and they go for 14 months. So this is 14 month cycles that repeat every 14 months. So right now we're over on the 930 line. Whoa, where did 930 come from? You're probably wondering. Well, we went into the secret rays. You can see Padmasambhava and Kuan Yin down there at 630. So each one of the Chohans is on one of these lines representing the chakra. You can see the chakra. So the mastery of that chakra. And then we move into the secret rays, and you can see the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. We have Varoshana, Akshobhya, Ratnasambhava, Amitabha, Amoghasiddhi, and then Vajrasattva, who's on the 12 o'clock line. Because there's 14, so that's 13. Vajrasattva is actually the 13th. And then the 14th is back to the 6 o'clock line, which is Kuan Yin and Padmasambhava. So that's the whole 14-month cycle. And we're saying it's for the mastery of the chakra and the balancing of the karma. So it's important to know who you're working with and where they are and what lines they're on. So let's take a look now at where we are. This is where we are right now. We're For this 14-month cycles, we're in the third secret ray band of the causal body. And that's on the 930 line. Okay. So this is what's interesting. Remember, I said that the secret rays are about intricacy and complexity. And you think about even worldly astrology is pretty complex. Not many people can do their own astrology. Well, it's the same thing with this. This there's a complexity to it, because when we're in the 7 rays, we're on one line. Okay. 12 o'clock line, El Moria. But oh no, here I'm at 9:30. I'm in between 2 lines. Oh, okay. What are those lines? Well, the 9 o'clock line and the 10 o'clock line, if you see on the left, okay, you see the God qualities. So what you have are 3 qualities to master here. But you have the wisdom of equality, which is the wisdom of Ratmansambhava, and then you have God reality on the 9 o'clock line and God vision on the 10 o'clock line. So you have the heart chakra and the third eye chakra. So you're working with 2 chakras. So think about this, 14 months working with your heart chakra and the third eye chakra. So on the 9 o'clock line, you have God reality. God reality. Just think how wonderful this is. You've come all the way around this. You've been through 9. This is the 9th cycle. Okay. So you've come all the way around and you're standing here, but you're not on the 9 o'clock line. You're on the 9:30 line, which is the Omega line of the clock. Alpha is on the 9:30 is the Omega, but it's in another dimension. But where is that dimension? It's in your heart. Now you're in your heart. You're it's more of a meditative, more inner walk. And it's very interesting because many of us who have been on the path for many years are more into that cycle in our life, more inner, going within. So at this 9:30 line, you have the wisdom of equality. So you've got to balance the reality. I'm real. I've now become, I'm Christ in the physical by the grace of God, or I'm getting there. Okay. I'm a lot more than I was when I was in 1980 when I found the teachings, right? So, and then the vision on the 10 o'clock line, the wonderful vision of God on the 10 o'clock line. And so, and in the middle, the equality. And an interesting thing is the 9 o'clock line is the line of Libra, which is the balance scale. So this gives you this opportunity, but what are the perversions? Okay, the poison of pride, spiritual, intellectual, and spiritual pride. And spiritual, intellectual, and human pride. So what did they say? Pride goes before the fall. Pride goes before the fall. So do we see, I'm sure that none of you are falling for pride because of pride. Not in a great sense, but now look out into the world. What are we seeing in the world? Are we seeing leaders that think that they can go to war and they can do this, or they could send all this money here and do that, or, have a cryptocurrency? And very interesting thing that happened this month. And this month is this whole FTX thing with this guy with all this money that, he took from people and gave away, and, is now declaring bankruptcy. So this is the sort of thing I love to look at. I love to look at how it's manifesting in the world, that people could think that, they can just take all this money and give it to whoever they want, take people's money. This is pride. This is the ultimate in pride. So then, and it's dishonest. Also, wouldn't you say? So this is dishonest. It involves intrigue, treachery, physical self-preservation, and idolatry. Now, we don't want to just put it all out there. We also have to look at ourselves too, because we're now where we are, we're in the unconscious of the cosmic clock. So the Dhyani Buddhas are in the subconscious and unconscious areas. See, isn't that interesting? So so you remember I said you have to swing out, so you have to go deep in. This is the beauty of the secret rays, that we can go in and we can pull out those threads that we don't even know we have. We probably don't. Oh, I'm not a dishonest person. Well, maybe you were a long, long time ago, or maybe you don't even remember, or, it's locked in there. Then the selfishness, the self-love, the physical self infatuation, idolatry. This is the energy for this 12 o'clock cycle. And you have Ratnasambhava to help you for this whole time. And we have a call that we can give. Oh boy, running out of time here. This is the call that you received. And this is the call for the whole 9 o'clock line, the whole prayer for the 14-month cycle, the third cycle. Actually, this is for this cycle. Sorry. This is for November 4th to so in this case, I don't have the call for this whole overarching cycle, but you would make the call. I call to Ratnasambhava. I call for the clearing of all poison, pride, spiritual, intellectual, pride, human, dishonesty, intrigue, treachery. You make the calls. You make the call. And so you have this overarching cycle, and then you have the cycle for each month. Okay, so we have the cycle for each month, and this is the call for this month, for this time, November 4th to December 3rd. So what's happening, you have that, is that this is what this month looks like. So I want to show you these because this is the energy. So you have cycles within cycles. You have the whole 14-month cycle, and each month you go through a slice of the pie, so to speak. There's 14 slices to the pie of the third secret ray band. And this is what we're dealing with just in this month. The woman, we have a station of the cross, which helps us to understand what is the karma. Well, it doesn't. It helps understand how the karma is out picturing. This woman has fallen down, and she is falling under the perversions, the karma that happens on this line of the clock. And you can see them, the perversion of mirror-like wisdom is anger, hate, and hate creation. This is the woman and her seed. This is the Aquarian age cross and the 14 stations of the cross. It's different. It's not just Jesus walking the stations of the cross. Those of you who are Catholic and brought up Catholic and know the stations of cross, many of us understand that Jesus carried our karma for 2,000 years. And now we are carrying karma. We are carrying the karma. The mother is carrying the karma. The woman and her seed. And so what is happening? These are initiations, the 14 initiations that Jesus walked, or the testings of Christhood. So this is our testing. But in a way, it's interesting because Jesus was the testing of Christhood, and now we're called to be the Divine Mother. This is the age of the Divine Mother. So it's all of us walking this together. So the burden that comes upon us is diagrammed here. And you can see you have hate, anger, hate creation, which I mentioned, fear, doubt, human questioning, records of death, etheric illusion, hypnosis, conceit, deceit, ego, and mental arrogance. Okay, those are the perversions on the 2:30, and 3 o'clock lines of the clock. And look who we have to help us, though. We're not left comfortless. We have Akshobhya, we have Jesus, and we have Helios, because he's on the 3 o'clock line. Jesus on the 2, Akshobhya on the 2:30 line. Now, what's really interesting, and I'm not going to go into it too much here, is that once we get into the secret rays, we start walking the clock at 6:30 instead of 12 o'clock line. Because how did we get to be at 2:30 here? This is the 9th, okay? Because we started over here, right over here, 6:30, 7:30, 8, 9, 10, all the way over to here. So for the 14 months, we're actually walking the clock like this, around this way, because we're in the secret rays and they are on the half hours. So what else can we say about this? So the mirror-like wisdom is what we use to overcome the God mastery, the God control, the violet flame. So these are the energies that are activated. When you think about the woman and her seed falling the third time, think about all the people who invested in FTX. You know, they just took a fall. It was the little people that is money he took from. So those are the people that fall. There's also other allegations of, which I won't go into, of where that money went and how it's moved around and all sorts of interesting things. So that's just a very large thing, but you can see how that energy is outplaying. Now, what's it doing in your life? How it is affecting you? That's the big key. And how do we get mastery over the energy? We get mastery over the energy when we understand the energy, when we work with that energy, we make the calls for the violet flame. Sometimes we have to work on our psychology because it's so tied in that we have to really go in and be able to see it and put it into the flame. So that's what we do. So what we have here is a diagram which you received, and you can see here where this arrow is that is where we are right now. We're at this point of the 9 o'clock, the 9th station of the cross. And this is a wonderful diagram. And I thank those who created it. They really did a great job because you can see right at a glance. Okay, from just November 4th to December 3rd, I'm going to be working with Jesus. I can give these mantras. Those are the mantras of the Bija mantras that go with the solar plexus and heart chakra. I can be going around going Om Ram Namaha, Om Ram Namaha, Om Ram. You should print this out. We can all be going on Om Ram Namaha, Om Shrim Namaha. Okay. You can be giving those mantras to clear and activate the heart chakra. Call to Jesus and the great hosts of the ascended masters, to Helios and the great central sun magnet, and realize that there's a lot of doubt, fear, human questioning, records of death that are coming up right now. They're activated because the light is coming down and the light activates the darkness. The conceit, deceit, arrogance, ego. So we need to have God mastery mastery of the solar plexus. We're talking solar plexus and heart here. Solar plexus in the heart. Stay in the heart. Stay in the heart. And have that mastery of the solar plexus, not to react. And when you find yourself doing that, say, oh, all right, I need to work on this. I need to work on this. So it's a good thing. Like, why am I reacting to my husband? I don't know why this is happening. I thought I had more mastery here. Akshobhya, the lines of the clock, and the poison, the mirror-like wisdom, and the secret ray Buddha mantra. So this is what you do. You watch this every month. You make the calls. You have 2 call sheets. The one that you saw earlier, which was for this whole month. It's a long call sheet, and but it's a good one. It's very, very thorough. So you need to find what you need to do, but you need to lock into the cycles, know what the cycles are, and really work with them. And that's how we'll gain mastery. And that's how we're going to grow and grow that causal body. If you need resources on the clock, we have the Great White Motherhood book, Odyssey of Your Soul, Predict Your Future, and 7 Energies is a great, great resource for the chakras. And if you want to study about the stations of the cross, the stations of cross for the Piscean age with Jesus, there's a great chapter in this book. And I think it's good to know the stations of the cross because we're walking them. They're the initiations in the path of Christhood. Where in reality, this whole cycle is a cycle to bring us to the height of our Christhood and for us to really master the white light of the mother and bring great blessings to the planet and ultimately ascend back to God, to our Father, Mother, God. So I went a little over, I think that, so let's see if you have any questions. I'm sure you probably have a lot of questions. I'm here to answer your questions.
Okay, Carla, this is Paloma. I have a question. How did you get from the third secret ray to the 9 Station of the Cross? I missed that.
To the 9 Stations of the Cross, because the Stations of the Cross, I'm going to stop my share. Well,
That is when the woman I see fall for the 3rd time.
okay.
How did you go there from the third secret ray?
Well, because the 3rd secret ray, I'm not charting the Station of the Cross for the 3rd secret ray. I know that it is in one of the handouts, but I noticed that the church handout does not chart the Station of the Cross for the 3rd secret ray. The Stations of the Cross are charted by the months. So the way we're in the 9th month. We are in the 9th month of this 14-month cycle. The 9th month corresponds to the 9th Station of the Cross. That's how we got there. That answer your question?
Partially, yes. Yes.
And you notice that this is Akshobhya. And Akshobhya is, let's see, on, oh gosh, I have to remember which secret ray this is. It doesn't say it, does it? But this is a different secret ray. It's not the 3rd secret ray. It's the 2nd secret ray. So, so this is the complexity of it. It's like wheels within wheels, okay? Just like our cosmic clock, you have a year you're on the year, but you're on the month, okay? It's the same thing with this cycle, only it's 14 months, okay? So, and there's 14 Stations of the Cross. So each month you go through a Station of the Cross. Another question?
Carla, I have a question. Hi. I don't know if you can help me with this. It's something like related to what you just said with this lecture, but I don't think you gave this handout to us. I don't know if you can see here. I have this from the previous class where they teach us also how to make the call on this chart. I know you have not talked about that, but I think it's very related to this subject. So I just brought this today to ask you. I've been making the calls, but I'm confused if I don't know if you know about it, if I have to make the call every single day for each day, or I can just make the call for the one that is on like every other 5 days. Do you know how this thing works?
Well, you can make the call. I think we need to make the call every day, but a brief call. I don't know what chart you're showing me. The call that we have here, I'll show you this one here. This is for 1 month. This is the energies for this month that we're in right here. So this call here is a very good call, and you did receive that handout, and it covers the whole waterfront. And in fact, this call this part right here is from the dictation of Serapis Bey when he announced that we were going into the 3rd secret ray. Now, this may be a bit long for you. This part you may decide I'm gonna do it once a week, but this part here, you may decide I'm gonna do this every day. But you can see the first call about the amplification of the 3rd secret way by the power of ascension flame. I think that's good to do every day. And then this is the lines of the clock that we're on for that month. So this is the monthly one. Okay, so you have a monthly call and you have the yearly call. And I don't know, Linda, how you're handling the yearly call. Maybe you could tell me, because I know you were instrumental in making these. How do you handle the yearly call?
Are you talking about the White Fire Core one? I'm Alpha and Omega, the White Fire Core being?
No, I'm talking about, is there an insert for the whole year that covers what's right here, this one?
What you just showed them.
Band.
What you just showed them, there are 14 sheets of that.
14 sheets, that's for the whole year. And this is the energy that we're dealing with the whole year. And then we have the 14 kind of slices of the pie, the slices of the cock. I don't know if that helped you, Anna. I hope.
May I help also?
Yes.
Yeah, the call sheet is for 14 months, but each call sheet is divided into two. The first portion is for the monthly call, and the second portion is for the whole cycle, 14 cycle.
Okay. That's
So
great.
the whole cycle starts from the after Axobia. If you use the current call sheet, after Axobia is now the general call for the third circuit train. The first portion is for the monthly focus.
Okay. Yeah.
It
Okay.
starts from Ratnasambhava. That's for the general call for the third circuit train. Notice 9:30, 9, and 10 o'clock
Yes.
line.
That's right. Right there. Great. Oh, did I stopped sharing my screen? I should share my screen again. Let me share. Okay.
I still see your screen, Carla.
Oh, okay. So right
Yes,
here
thank you.
is, right here is what he's talking about. This part here was for the whole year. And this is for the whole year. And this is for the month. Okay. And what's great is that they repeat this every month. That this is the words of Serapis Bey mostly from his dictation. It's a wonderful tool. It's great. I think you hopefully it's going to really help you. Any other questions?
This is fabulous, Carla. Got a lot of good information. Janny said it'd be a good idea to announce the cycle we're in and the sponsoring master and mantra as we begin decrease sessions. And so you got a lot of positive feedback in the chat. Lois Drake said it was wonderful. Sorry she had to leave. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. It was great. Linda Cucci Robin has listed her email if you need a chart for the next 14-month cycle beginning in May 2023. Dawn Curran says, fantastic presentation. I needed to know in more detail just what you explained, and I thank you. God bless you and all of us on our way. Fabiola says, I've been making these calls and now I know why. I'm so happy I was led to them and now God gives me the explanation. Glory to God. Thank you for this presentation. Amparo says, great, Carla. Thank you. Blessings. Concepcion says, thank you so much for illuminating us. Wonderful presentation. God bless everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. That was wonderful. Very helpful. So Carla, it was great. Thank you so much. We are all very grateful because I've been giving these calls too and didn't really understand them either. So now I agree with Fabiola. Now we know why we're making them and how we're supposed to focus in on increasing the size of our causal bodies, which is kind of exciting. Thank you so much. And next month, on the 18th of December, we'll be with Olaf Nordeman, and he is going to be talking about how God is much closer to us than we think. So that's our December session. Somebody's hand is up, a Quebec keeper. You want to ask one more question?
Yes, I don't know where to get those handouts that you've been showing. Is there somewhere I'm not aware of, or?
We sent them out with the invitation that came from the Golden Pathway. I don't know who sent you an invitation, but that's where they came out from.
Oh, I received it from Toronto, but I didn't see any documents. But is it on your site, the Golden Pathway?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, then I'll go search. Thank you very much. And thank you, Carla.
Oh, you're welcome.
You
Bless
can
you
also
all.
just send me an email at that address that's in the chat, and I'll be happy to send it to you now for last year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Carla.
Everybody, happy Thanksgiving. William, you have a
Yeah, happy
question?
Thanksgiving. God
Thank
bless
you.
you
Happy
all.
Thanksgiving.
I was